Hey everyone, hope you guys are doing well. Got my new team slightly changed based on the Diaz situation. So we got news from Raptor and his source as well, who I believe is now on Twitter too. I think he's called FPL um, main head or yeah, and he's actually got a huge leak, which is Diaz is out, Ake is actually back, and that was actually confirmed, of course, in the presser anyways, but. Diaz on concussion protocol sort of means that a City defender doesn't really make too much sense for us. I personally don't really like Guardiola as an option. Yes, he's 5.0, and I get that he has a huge transfer fee behind him, but there's still too much depth in the City team, and that's my main concern, really. Um, you guys going to be there? Thomas will be there for Guardiola. Why is the sound so low? Good question, actually. I can try and adjust it. Is it a little bit better now? Hopefully this is a bit better. There she is. Hope you guys are doing well as well. Thank you guys so much for joining the live stream. Haven't actually got the chance to do it in a while. If you guys want, I can just start talking about my draft as well before I answer some questions. I just think it's worth explaining the strategy of my draft. And I'll probably do it as well with the team planner, just so we can kind of explain what is going on. If you can like and subscribe as well, if you're new, that would be really appreciated. But let's get started with my team selection, really. So the idea for my team selection is quite interesting. So I got Taylor 4.5 forward earlier this morning, right before he was removed from the game, essentially. So I now have a 4.5 priced locked in forward. I don't really care about Archer too much because it doesn't seem like the deal to Sheffield United is finalized. And second of all, honestly, if you're the starting striker for Sheffield United, I don't think you're going to move the needle with my draft. And that's just my opinion. But we'll see what happens because obviously Cameron Archer was incredible last year in the championship. So I mean, we'll see what happens. As far as Pickford and Turner, I haven't changed there. I do think Flecken is a fantastic option just in isolation. But because it doesn't seem like the Henderson news is really advancing, I do like the opportunity of getting Turner on Gameweek 2. So I'm kind of there now in terms of Pickford. Hopefully he can do well versus and Andreas less Fulham. That could help. But ultimately, the nice thing about Pickford, if we actually look at his run of fixtures, is really this. So if let's say you're planning for something like a Game Week 9 wildcard, which I'm loosely open to it as a concept, right? These opening run of games are really good, even for a really poor defense, which was Everton last season. And the bad fixture here was just Arsenal, where you're hoping that Turner will just cover in Game Week 5. That's the key fixture there, getting that Burnley fixture. Hopefully, of course, Henderson doesn't sign. That can still be a possibility, but ultimately, you're still getting very good games at home. And Luton and Bournemouth are the best example of that just before that sort of wild card run. And so I'm going with Pickford for now. But as I said, you can go for Flecken. I think they're very, very close. And honestly, I can't tell you ahead of time which keeper is going to absolutely farm this season. Every year we have a 4.5 goalkeeper that does it. Every year it's a completely different keeper. So, yeah, that's my opinion on that. I think it's a bit of a 50-50. As far as the defense, I've moved away from Diaz into Shaw. But I've also changed the structure of my team where I've downgraded from Odegaard to Havertz. And so I've changed that for now. And so the reason why I'm doing that is because I've actually got 1 million in the bank. So I'll just quickly show you how I'm planning this basically. So with the 1 million in the bank, the idea here is that first of all, what is going to be the landscape of FPL in Game Week 3? I think Chelsea look fantastic still. Just because of the fact they're playing three very, very poor teams, right? Even if Chelsea are, let's say, a little bit of a step off of what we expected of them from an offensive point of view because of the loss of Nkunku, you have the opportunity of going for Luton, Nottingham Forest, and Bournemouth. Just three back-to-back good games, and you could say the same for Fulham and Burnley, right? Because those two teams, particularly Fulham last season, we got enough data to say that they're a bad defense. Not much has really changed other than the fact that Leno is a very good shot stopper. So that's kind of the situation where I just wanted the opportunity to move João Pedro into Jackson. So 1 million in the bank, how would I do that? The idea really is to go from Chilwell, to keep Chilwell actually, but actually to go from Estupinian effectively after Game Week 2 when he gets to play Luton and Wolves, to then move out of Estupinian on that West Ham game where I don't really see myself playing him anyways, because I have many players with better fixtures. So Shaw, for example, fantastic fixture, much better than Estupiñán's. The Chelsea player is much better fixtures. So that's really 3 defenders. And then, look, even if we go Gabriel, fantastic fixture as well. Comparable, I would say, to the West Ham game. So in that situation, I'd be moving Estupiñán or Gabriel. We'll see what happens. But one of them would go to, let's say, Botman. And if there's any price rises for Jackson, I would just go into a 4.0 defender. And then at that point in time, my draft becomes a permanent 3-5-2. I just wanted the flexibility of that. Now, if I don't care about Jackson, I can just continue to coexist with this João Pedro draft, continue to invest in this sort of 4-5-1 setup, right? Because effectively, my team in the future will really just look like something like this, right? Where João Pedro is always on the bench. And so if I'm in that situation when Brighton have bad games and I play 4-5-1, I'm happy with it. I'll just stick with this and I'll probably just move Havertz away. The idea about Havertz is you punt on game weeks 1, 2, and 3. And you hope that Jesus is probably only going to come back, let's say, around Man United game. Maybe even Fulham, but we'll see what happens. The idea is you just punt on Havertz for 3 fixtures, hoping that he gets more minutes in the 9, which is a huge sort of like price differential, right? Because Havertz is sort of priced as if we were expecting him to be a left center mid. You now have an opportunity to punt on him. And of course, some people will say that the tactical setup for City was just unique to City. But at the same time, I mean, look, when you have someone who I think Arteta clearly rates more so than Eddie Nketiah, I still think there's an easy opportunity. I mean, you could even say that, for example, Crystal Palace and Fulham could be games where he could do that as well, utilizing Havertz as the 9. So I just like the opportunity of that. And worst case scenario, what happens? Like, look at the Community Shield when Eddie came on. You still have Havertz dropping back into left centre mid. So I have some comfort in terms of his minutes. And that's the main thing with Havertz, that I still think ultimately if he, let's say, moves positionally within the formation, he still should play enough minutes because of Jesus being missing for him to be worthwhile for at least 3 weeks. And so after that, and let's say if Havertz is terrible, right? If Havertz is terrible game weeks 1 and 2, I just go to Richarlison game week 3. And that's the plan instead. So this is sort of the idea there. And how would that work? Because let's say my original plan was to go away from Gabriel or Estupiñán to a 4.5 defender, right? But if Havertz stinks, then I can just go from Havertz to a Richarlison and then probably go right into Jackson in game week 3 as well. So that's an opportunity that's possible. And so, yes, it's a little bit of a risky draft, but at the same time, I think there are enough flexible options for me to move away from Havertz and to move away from João Pedro. And also, I could just simply stay with, let's say I do like this structure, and I actually don't like Havertz, but we found another mid that was interesting. Because of the money in the bank, it doesn't even matter if there's a huge, for example, let's say there's a price fall for Havertz for whatever reason. I can still move into Maddison. I can still move into Richarlison. The only person that I won't be able to have access to if there's a price fall really is going to be Odegaard. And do I think Odegaard is someone that I can cover? In theory, yes. So that's sort of the main concern. It was always about Havertz versus Odegaard for me. I won't really have the chance to go back to Odegaard, but I mean, this is why I'm going for a punt. But that's going to be my team selection. Let's actually go to people's questions because I've talked enough about my own draft. So I'll just keep my team selection here. And then in the meantime, let's just go answer some questions. Hope you guys are all doing well, by the way, and having a lovely evening. So, all right. So starting from the top, actually, Rio said he was excited for the deadline. So am I. I'm really excited for game week 1. I think last season, of course, was nice, ending the season on a high. That sort of made me a lot more inspired to play FPL and to do well again. Henry, hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for being a member. Brian, FPL is back. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Hope the sound is a bit better. Let me know in chat. Sag or 513 Sag says Estupiñán plus Richarlison or Estupiñán plus Jota. I mean, I prefer Richarlison over Jota just because, if Kane is leaving, and he is really, unless he's stuck at an airport still, the reality is Richarlison's just going to get more minutes than Jota. And I don't think Liverpool's fixture run is particularly good. Neither is Tottenham in terms of game week 1 and 2. But if you get a nailed forward, even with the chance of, let's say, penalties, which is huge for Richarlison, I mean, I would definitely be going Richarlison. Now, you're talking about game week 2 captaincy. I get your point. But actually, I still think Haaland is a better game week 2 captain than Jota. Because Salah, for me, is the only game week 2 captain that I'd say, and maybe Trent too, that is better than Haaland, if we're being honest. Someone suggested Martinez. Are you talking about Martinez from United? That would be nice, but I also think that Shaw actually has a lot of upside himself as a pick. So that's sort of the idea there. Ahmed says, there she is. And also, for example, let's say if I wanted to move it into another 5.5 mid or defender, I mean, the opportunity is there as well. Whereas I don't really see myself moving away from Chilwell James. Always nice to start at 5.5 with Shaw and go down. And I don't see myself booking a transfer in Game Week 2 with this team. Mosen, thank you very much. Soldier Boy, Dr. Malcolm, hope you guys are doing well. Frequenters in the chat, nice to see you around. Do I think Havertz will start as a 9? I mean, I'm basically punting on it, but I mean, will I regret it if he doesn't start in the 9? Not really, in my opinion. I think the punt is something that I'm happy to chase. You know, ultimately, if it becomes, let's say, Eddie and Nketiah starting, and Havertz is LCM, I mean, I'll take the technical L there, but I'd still have money in the bank to move around, and we'll see what happens. How will I juggle around the 5.5 defenders? Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I think it's best for me to show you in terms of... Yeah, I'll just use a planner. Let's just use FPL team. Or I can actually use Fantasy Football Hub as well. So this is Fantasy Football Hub's My Team tool. I'm just going to quickly change the team because obviously I've moved into Havertz now. And I'll show you how the team rotates. I mean, obviously I don't have Stones either. I've got Shaw instead. And instead of Flecken, I've got Pickford. So that's the draft. And then technically, I mean, let's just say this is Archer, right? Because I know a lot of people have Archer. So in terms of how the draft looks, I mean, we can just optimize the team here. Yeah, so one thing, of course, is that I would say Havertz seems like he's got very low expected points. And as I said, it is a bit of a gamble on my part, but I'm pretty confident that Havertz, you know, positionally is in a very good sort of lane between game weeks 1 and 3 to be a good punt. Just because what are the fallback options? Simply going to Richarlison is very easy for me. So I don't mind taking the punt on Havertz short term, even though I think he's a terrible player. But, you know, anyone can cook at Arsenal when Arteta's sort of at the wheel. So it is sort of how I feel about this draft situation. But then game week 2, I would suddenly then move into a setup where it's just João Pedro on the bench. And then obviously if I just fix the way the team would line up, James is obviously a huge upgrade to Shaw, and then obviously Turner here rotates with Pickford. So this is the first instance of the rotation between Turner. Finally using my 4-5-1, you can see the team rating is really starting to go up. And then this week here, same sort of situation. I wouldn't really do too much because this is basically the best week for my team. Effectively, every player has a good game, including Havertz. I think Havertz is a little bit low rated, ultimately. That's my personal opinion, but yeah, Havertz clearly is sticking out a little bit. But at this situation, I mean, what can I do? As I said, I can go for the transfers that I really wanted to do, which was actually to bench Estupinian, right? So, for example, I would go from Estupinian to, let's say, Botman. Because the idea with Botman is actually you're planning ahead in the future. So that's what Botman would do. And then actually I'm replacing João Pedro with Jackson. Let's say this is just an option if for whatever reason I really wanted to actually tempt myself with you know, a kind of 3-5-2 formation, basically is what I would say. And I mean, technically here I would replace Havertz, but this would be the team situation. Havertz can obviously be Richarlison too, like that could work as well. So those are the two options in terms of my transfers. So let's say if I go out of Botman and back into Estupinian, with the two transfers I have, I could also just simply go to Richarlison. I'm not sure if Richarlison has sort of been up. Oh, yeah, he's already got crazy stats. So here, as you can see, I can already go for Richarlison, and then I can just optimize Richarlison too. I'd basically be playing a 3-5-2. It feels a bit bad to sort of bench Shaw here, but I'm not exactly planning to do the Richarlison-Jackson transfer, but this is pretty appetizing as well to start. And then game week 4, similar situation where you can optimize again. It's going to be a 3-5-2. Shaw has a really bad fixture, put him on the bench there. And that's sort of how the punt works. But the key thing as well, I think, with Fantasy Football Hub's prediction is that I would say the Luton game seems to be quite a low rating for someone who gets to play Luton, who's also the penalty taker for Brighton. So actually what I'm punting on is João Pedro and Havertz for let's say 1 or 2 weeks. Even 3, for example, for Havertz, which is why I would actually prefer going Richarlison on game week 4 instead. But once again, it's really just up to what you want to do. Game week 3, of course, is a decent fixture for Richarlison, as you can see. But ultimately, I would still see myself going through the Botman move and then actually going for Jackson instead because he's sort of my priority. And Botman would sort of leave my team set up a little bit nicer. And then that's an option there too. And then game week 4, so on, so forth. all you really need to do Game Week 4 is probably roll a transfer, because in reality you're sort of just waiting for Trippier here, and that's the situation where I have to think about, whether I want to go with Richarlison or whether I want to actually go with Jackson, and things like that too. I need to sort of think about what's the priority. Or for example, I can go Trippier in let's say Game Week 6. But with two transfers here, obviously I can just go into Trippier by simply just downgrading one of my defenders and then upgrading. So for example, let's say I downgrade Shaw at this point. That could be an option too. Or I go for, let's say, Jackson out of the team as well, and then simply going back into a 4-5-1 structure with, let's say, Trippier coming back into the team. It really just depends on whether João Pedro actually seems like a bit of a long-term pick. But as I said, Jackson is someone that I like for Game Week 3 early on, and I just want the option to go towards him, but I have a lot of fallback options. So my plan isn't necessarily to go Jackson, but I can go into Jackson if I wanted to. If I don't go Jackson, it's just simply playing 4-5-1, and then obviously Shaw plays in this fixture here as an example. But it really just depends on what you sort of want. I like the flexibility of the 1 million in the bank, and I do like the punt on Havertz and Pedro. And I think, for example, the expected numbers are a little bit low ultimately for these two players for their opportune fixtures. Because if you also look at the goal scoring odds that came out today, Havertz and João Pedro I think are top 4 within goal scoring odds for Game Week 1. So it doesn't really seem to marry up to, let's say, the expectation here, which is 3.9 and 4.0 points expectedly. But yeah, that's pretty much the draft situation for now. Flexibility for Jackson, flexibility for Richarlison as well, just leaving up that spot. I could even go, for example, Mbumo to Richarlison quite early on if I feel like I've made a mistake there, I suppose. Diaz out doesn't make you want to go Stones. I think the concern really is that there's so much depth right now in this team, and Stones, I'm kind of concerned of his overall minutes. Let's see. So some of the questions. All the best for the season. Yep, same to you, Rishab. Dylan says, is Salah worth getting? I think yes, Salah's worth getting, but I'm not going to be getting Salah this time around. Thoughts on Reece to Stones to diversify a bit more? I mean, I don't really want to diversify because WeRogue actually put some pretty good analysis on Twitter today, which was looking at the minutes of City defenders last season. Ultimately, if you look at, for example, City defenders, and I mean, a good little test, for example, is like look at the total points for last season for defenders. And you'll see that like a City defender just doesn't really appear. And that's the issue with City defense. Like you just can't really trust it. So I'm totally okay to skipping City defense, if that makes sense. A lot of them will just get injured. There will be rotation. It's very hard to sort of judge. And ultimately Pep has like a super squad at his disposal. Am I completely cold? Yeah, as a result of the Diaz, it's not even an injury. It's actually a concussion. I am cold. Best defense with the best fixtures. Yes, best defense with the best fixtures, but can you guarantee that you'll get playing time for the players that you pick, particularly if Diaz is out? Why did I decide to go with Salah in the end? I think I'm only going to be captaining Salah in Game Week 2. The draft is a little bit tight in terms of budget, and also I didn't really want to lose that additional United and Arsenal midfielder, and I prefer flexibility, particularly with the ability to go into Chelsea if I wanted to. So that's kind of why I've done that. Yun says, I think Everton will improve defensively this season. Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of gambling on it, right? Are you worried to not be able to get out of João Pedro? I kind of just showed you how I would get out of João Pedro if I need to get out of João Pedro. Otherwise, I just stick to a 4-5-1. Bench boost viable. Absolutely, it's viable. I just won't be there. Because I feel like on the bench, you're going to have to put some Chelsea players, and it's still not the best game for Chelsea, in my opinion. I was back in the Havertz camp over Odegaard. Yeah, that's correct. Do I expect Havertz to have a similar output to Odegaard? I expect Havertz to have a similar output to Odegaard during the sort of Jesus injury. Once Jesus is out of the team, I mean back into the team, sorry, then that's where I plan to jump off of the Havertz train. Because I feel like for the short term, Havertz could very conceivably even have better value than Odegaard. But Odegaard, you have the safety of the minutes, and you also have the safety of him being absolutely nailed in that right center mid structure and already producing really, really good numbers last season. So that's obviously the safety of Odegaard. But as I said, Havertz is a punt that I have enough options to get out of. Is sort of how I'm seeing that situation with Havertz. Is there any other defender for 5 million that's on the level of Gabriel and Estupiñán? I mean, look, in theory, Dunk, just because he has such good fixtures like Luton Town, like you can still say Game Weeks 1 to 3 are good, but I don't really like any other 5.0 defenders, if I'm being honest. Or you can just go for another Arsenal defender, but I'm presuming you have two Arsenal forwards. I mean, not forwards, but midfielders. João Pedro, Andreas for starting 5.5. Definitely João Pedro for me, because Andreas might not even play in Game Week 1. That was the news that we got confirmed today. Trossard is playing the 9. I mean, he could, but I wouldn't be absolutely certain about it unless you've got leaks and you're Mikel Arteta. Havertz is secure minutes option compared to Trossard. I would say so. Why not having Jackson and Chilwell, no James? I still would like to have all three of them, really. I mean, when you have a run as good as that for Chelsea, I'm totally open to the idea of having all three. Rico Lewis starts. Are you serious? Okay. Have we started to get leaks already, guys, on Twitter? What is the league code? DJVXXX. It's just right above me, effectively, over there. Would you sacrifice 1.6 expected value in Game Week 1, going both James Chilwell in order to avoid the inevitable Estupiñán to Chilwell Game Week 3? I think, look, if you don't have a transfer plan for Game Week 2, there's nothing wrong with booking a transfer from Estupiñán to Chilwell. It makes a lot of sense. It's also why, for example, if I really wanted to go to Jackson, I would do the same thing too. Why was Taylor removed? Why do you have him? So that I don't really suffer from any price drops in the future. Would you be tempted if KDB was leaked to start? Not really, no, because he can still get benched in other games just because I think at his age, he's not really necessarily used for like 90 minutes every league match. So, yeah, Wisa over Pedro, not for me. Caicedo might be joining Chelsea. Yep, that's correct. I think he rejected Liverpool earlier this morning. Flapjack FPL. Confirmed it. Oh, my friend Flapjack. Let's have a look. No way. That's mental. That's pretty mental. I mean, how much is Rico Lewis? Like 4.5 mil? Oh. What can I do here? I mean, he can still get subbed off at halftime, though. I mean, I guess I'd just have to go off Havertz. I'd probably have to just go save money in the bank for Jackson and then actually just go Odegaard, maybe. Because I can just go Odegaard Jackson, and then Odegaard can become... He can become Richarlison in the future. And actually, that money saved would also give me Trippier money later in Game Week 5. So... It's not a bad idea, actually. I think this could work. Am I saving too much money in the bank? Maybe I actually go Onana here. But no, I do need the money for Jackson as well. If I do 2 transfers. I mean, I can't go Jackson, can I? Yeah, I guess I would still... I'd still go in Havertz, I think. But then maybe I just start with Jackson. Jackson Havertz is not bad with money in the bank. I'll need to think about that one quite quickly. I'm basically just confirming with Flapjack right now to make sure he's absolutely correct. Because that's pretty crazy news. What are you guys doing? Are you going to get Rico Lewis in your team? Shaw is a must-have for you. I mean, Shaw has a fantastic fixture. He does have a fantastic fixture. Do we know Guardiola is actually in the lineup though? I mean, we don't have to panic. We've got 1 hour to sort of sort this situation out. He's not going to be a consistent starter. But then if you think about it like this, right? I get the game week 1 because what's the issue with the Chelsea defenders for my draft? I can't play them for game week 1 really because I don't really like the Liverpool fixture. And then getting City for Burnley is nice. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. And then I'd still have to move Rico Lewis into Botman. Plus, Rico Lewis could actually lose value because people would be moving out of him. That's pretty mental, though. Hmm. I guess you can do this. Like, you could do this. The issue is, how do I get to Trippier in the future? And am I sort of booking... Am I sort of not using the strength of future transfers? Because, for example, I will have transfers between game weeks 1 to 3. So I don't want to burn transfers. That sounds ridiculous. But in theory, let's say if Rico Lewis is a punt, I could still go just Rico Lewis to Botman game week. I mean, it doesn't make sense to even move off of him. It's kind of tough here. Paqueta to City conversations. Yeah, I mean, that sort of kills off Foden for me as well because there's too much depth there, even on the attack. Everyone is going to be spending their... Yeah, you're right. A lot of people just go out of Rico Lewis. The question is, though, like, because I already have triple Chelsea, am I already sort of ahead of the curve in this situation? I would definitely start... I prefer Pedro to Jackson for game week 1, but the question, of course, is, are the saved transfers good for my team? Does Lewis play the Stones position? I mean, he sort of does. I've seen it in the preseason. In fact, he could play more advanced. Watkins. Yeah, I mean, Watkins would be nice, right? Because you would get the... It's not a bad plan, actually, to go Watkins. I'd have to go back down to Pickford. Probably actually go from a Chelsea defender to Botman. But then 2 4.5 is not something I want to start FPL with. I can say based on my discussions with Flapjack that the Rico Lewis news is absolutely true. So that is very interesting news, actually. Very, very interesting news. We'll need to have quite a serious think about it, to be honest. Because maybe the value of Shaw in my draft is not that strong, right? Because the thing is, Shaw's next best fixture is game week 3. But if I have triple Chelsea, that's already covering off a lot of those fixtures. I mean, it's Nottingham Forest, so such a beautiful game, but need to think about that. I'm not sure if I really want to stick with Onana because I feel like I want to have as much value as possible. I'm moving between... I even want to have to squeeze some money from, let's say, like, what are the key transfers each game week? I would say game week 2, nothing. Game week 3, usually Chilwell or your third Chelsea player or your second, depending on how you start. And then game week 4, it's already probably the first window where you want to seriously consider moving from an Arsenal midfielder to Richarlison or even Maddison if he looks more interesting. And then game week 4, nothing really happens there. Unless you're, let's say, you're against the idea of going for Richarlison. Maybe you want to go Eze game week 4 from Havertz or Odegaard. That could work too. Game week 5, you're now moving into Trippier. And then game week 7, I would say Watkins is close to essential on that game week. Particularly if... I mean, it might not be essential if you're wildcarding game week 9, but I would love to go Watkins. Like, those are basically my priority picks in my head. Something like Richarlison game week 3 or 4. Trippier on 5 or 6, and then, you know, Watkins on 7. So need to sort of plan in my head like how that would work too. But the Rico Lewis news is, yeah. I mean, the issue I suppose is you need to sort of imagine a situation where Rico Lewis is only playing 70 minutes of football and it's a 1 week punt. But it kind of takes away the need for me to have Shaw in my draft, if you get what I'm saying, because when we're looking at the planning for game week 3, right? Let's say I'm on Jackson. You can see Shaw finds himself on the bench anyways. His expected value is slightly less than Gabriel in this case. So do I really have any value for Shaw? He's just going to be a game week 1 punt. So that's kind of the situation, I would say. Kind of, I feel like it does kill Shaw's strength in my draft. I'm not sure how you guys feel about that as well, but it's definitely news that we have to respond to. And I think because I've gone so big at the back, I mean, think about it. Some people are still riding with two 4.0, 4.5 defenders. I mean, sorry, two 4.0 defenders, and that's very weak. I would still have, the strength, I suppose, of a nailed down 4.5 position that I could then just move into, hopefully, Botman. And I don't have a transfer to make in game week 3 if I start with triple Chelsea, I guess. So that's an option. A question, I suppose, if I go Rico Lewis and I just let him to price drop endlessly, does that hurt my team long term? And can I just start with João Pedro in that sense and still go Jackson? Particularly with the money in the bank that I have. And maybe even go Odegaard too. Another situation to sort of think about, I would say. So while I sort of plan that out in my head, I think I'll just answer some comments, to be honest. Yeah, but the issue is when you actually have lower ownership, Yunche, I think the issue is you're actually more prone to price drops. You don't need 500,000 people transferring out Rico Lewis for him to price drop. You could actually have a situation where Rico Lewis could price drop from very, very small transfers, because actually the percentage of movement in the transfers, I'm not actually exactly sure how it works, but doesn't need to be particularly, I mean, the percentage is the most important part, right? If all Rico Lewis owners are moving him out, that's enough. You don't need, it's not an absolute value, I think. All right, let's go back to some questions though. Rico Lewis is saving my season, not even capping. Here. Who is Julian Alvarez's competition? I think it's KDB. You're right, but arguably Foden as well, because we've seen at times, for example, look at the Champions League final, the semi-final versus Real Madrid. Foden was also a sub for KDB at times, right? So a little bit of competition there. Maybe if you can say that Julian Alvarez could play on the right wing, competition is Bernardo. And if Haaland comes off early, I mean, that's his position as well. So he does have a lot of minutes. Yeah, Rico Lewis is apparently confirmed to start. So that could dramatically change my draft. Is basically the latest news that I have for you guys. But I don't think it's very sensible, to be honest, to go for Rico Lewis. Because I said there is a risk that he could be subbed. But what's so scary about that situation is it just tells us that we probably just shouldn't be investing in City in the first place. That's kind of my opinion, if I have to be entirely honest. Like, there's too much of a risk. So, yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna react to the news. I mean, because if I keep Shaw on my team, game week 6 to game week 8 are very nice as well. So, maybe Shaw will stay. I think the plan now is whether I want to stick within the structure that I suggested, which is going to be this, which still allows me to get Jackson. I mean, ultimately, let's say if Shaw really disappoints me, and I don't expect that to happen, Shaw can always be a 5.0, right? If we suddenly think Guardiola is going to play every single game for City, I mean, that's an option too. So I have enough flexibility in this lineup, particularly with 1 million in the bank. Probably not. I don't need to overreact to this Rico Lewis little situation here, but it is Pep has cooked something up for sure. That's for sure. I'm going to quickly go back to the YouTube chat. If Rico Lewis is starting, then Stones wouldn't be. I mean, no, Stones can actually start at the center back position, right? Like he can actually play instead of Ruben Diaz, right? Hey, Fran, hope you have a good team. I hope so too, my friend. Hey, Anka, how are you doing? Season-defining question is who's better between Patterson or Tarkovsky? I think Tarkovsky for sure, just because you'd probably get a bit more set-piece action from Tarkovsky. Madison or Richarlison? I would say Richarlison. Hilarious, a 4.0 defender nobody was talking about or considering will change a lot of people's drafts. They probably spent weeks agonizing over. Rico Lewis is not 4.0. Or are you talking about someone else now? I think Lewis is 4.5, no? If I can actually type on my keyboard. Yep, you saw 4.5. I mean, look, that's the power of City, though. Thoughts on Destiny Udogi? I think it's fantastic. But the question is, does it really make sense to go with a Spurs defender, even if he's a very good attacker? Because the fixtures are actually quite tough from a defensive point of view. That's my opinion. Jackson or Watkins? I think I'd prefer Jackson. And then I would actually find an opportunity to go Watkins from Game Week 7. Why no one seems to consider Martinez from Man United? Simply the stats for Martinez are really bad in terms of his expected goal output. So for me, there is a genuine reason why, Luke Shaw is priced at 5.5 and Martinez is priced at 0.5. Because look at the expected goal involvement. So he started 24 games of football and he's got an XG of 0.46. You're basically saying that Lisandro Martinez has an XG of 0.02. That's really bad. So he has no sort of attacking value, even though I know he scored a goal versus Arsenal. I remember it. But you don't want to bank on someone who doesn't really get into, frequently good positions. Almiron or Barnes? I'd probably go with none of them, but I'd probably go with Almiron, actually, if I had to make a choice. How do you get Taylor? You can't get him anymore. He's not available. I chose Taylor before he actually got kicked out of FPL. Effectively, is what happened. What do I think Man City's lineup will be? I'm not even gonna try. I'm not gonna try. But okay, fine. Let's just do it for fun. Guardiola, Stones, Akanji. So Guardiola, Stones, Akanji. I'd say Guardiola can change with Ake, and then probably Rodri, Rico, Lewis. So 3-2. I mean, Kovacic has to play. I mean, but if Rico Lewis is playing, maybe Kovacic is on the bench. I don't really know if KDB will play. It's tough. And then you're looking at, am I making a punt that KDB starts? Is it even a punt? I don't know, because his fitness record apparently is not great, so he might need full fitness. Why do I have Havertz? Because I'm taking a punt on Havertz for game weeks 1 to 3. So yeah. Okay, let's say KDB, Bernardo, Grealish, Holland. And then the last player to play in this team, I mean, I guess I would say Foden. So like the three back, arguably Guardiola / Ake, Stones, Akanji, and then yeah, Rico Lewis, Rodri, KDB, Foden, the next sort of middle two, Bernardo on the right, Grealish on the left, Holland up top. But this is like silly conjecture because I don't know. I mean, Pep literally has brilliant ideas and I can't anticipate them. Thoughts on starting with Watkins, Holland, Pedro? I think you can perfectly do that. Are you going for a 3-4-3? Kabori or Baldock? I'd probably go with Baldock. But Kabori's not bad because if Luton's double game week gets rescheduled early, I guess Kabori actually has better value. No James, just Jackson Chilwell, perfectly fine. I mean, Jackson's really, really good. From what I've seen so far, Jackson looks incredible. Is it insane to go without Rashi? I mean, if you're going Salah instead of Rashi, sure. But if you're dropping Rashi for no reason, then yeah, it is a bit insane. Archer Mubama, I'd probably go Archer. Thoughts on Havertz? I mean, he's in my team. I'm punting for him game weeks 1 to 3. If it doesn't work out, I'll just go with Charleston. Am I checking Twitter DM? I might do it later. I think there's a lot of YouTube chat today. And honestly, I appreciate you guys all for being here. If you guys could like and subscribe, that'd be fantastic. Hope you guys are all doing well this Friday evening or wherever you are in the world as well. I know some people from Asia will definitely be staying up for this. So credit to you for doing that. Let me actually make sure that my FPL team's correct because I don't want it to load the wrong team. Okay, that's fine. That's still something I'm happy with. Okay, so that's that. All right, let's go back into the chat. Who are you looking at bringing in for Havertz if he doesn't do well? Richarlison for sure. Start Chilwell or Tarkowski game week 1? I think I'd start Tarkowski. Good suggestion. Will Odegaard's output be affected by Havertz? I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I mean, because they don't even play similar positions. I guess the question is, you know, if you could say, for example, Odegaard benefits more from playing with Jesus, very hard to say that. I think usually what happens when I look at analytics, particularly when, let's say, one player is off or one player is on, particularly in an 11 game sort of 11-man game mode, it doesn't really actually have huge impacts in terms of underlying stats. So I don't think Odegaard will be significantly impacted at all. His position wouldn't change. He's absolutely nailed at right center mid. Could Rico Lewis play instead of Guardiola? No, I don't think so. Rico Lewis is not a left back or not even a left center back, right? Because Guardiola, for example, is going to be left center back most likely. Maybe he can play center back, but I don't really see it happening. I mean, even Guardiola could arguably play, let's say, on the left side of a 2-box mid, and he can play the Stones role, but just on the left, and then Rodri maybe goes towards the right. Could be possible too. With your Salah template, what would the defense be, Fran? I mean, should we just quickly do a Salah draft for you guys? Do I tweet when I make transfers? Sometimes, not always. Is Odegaard madness? I mean, Odegaard's fantastic. Let's go back. Watkins and Matoma or João Pedro and Odegaard / Havertz. I think the big thing too, Nuclear Atoms, though, is that Odegaard, I mean, like, City sort of play like a back three, right? So it also really depends on, I mean, that has no correlation to the fixtures that Arsenal really have. Unless Forest are going to go back into a back three. But even at the first half, you can see, for example, yeah, like Odegaard is very, very high up. Do I think Martinelli starts? Yes, I do. And Robert Lean, thank you so much for being a member. Really appreciate that. All right, let's do a solid draft just for fun. I think I'd drop Bruno. I'd probably keep Rashford because I know a lot of people complained the last time I showed a draft without Rashford in it. I get the idea because let's say if Son is really good as well, then you're still within the 9.0 position. Let's look at Shaw. I mean, I'd have to cut this draft down. So, I don't really know if I really want to start with the solid draft with João Pedro, just João Pedro, but yeah, I mean, I'd probably have to sell Shaw in this option. I'd probably have to sell Chilwell too. I'd probably have to go Botman if I'm being honest. Maybe I would have Shaw here. Pickford, Turner makes sense. Havertz, I'd have to. I mean, I'd probably go Richarlison at this point, right? Because you don't want to be. Yeah, I'd probably go Richarlison here. This is quite nice looking for now. Still need to lose some money. I mean, I guess I could just go Bulldog, right? Is this strong enough? I mean, what's going to happen here? Game week 2 is fine. It's actually a good fixture for most of these teams. Not fantastic. I'd probably still start with the Chelsea. I mean, you could start with Shaw, but then no Chelsea to start with just doesn't feel very right, does it? Because like, let's say João Pedro doesn't become an option after this week. You're going to be playing 4-5-1, so this wouldn't really work too well. Maybe I'm still spending too much money in the midfield. That's the issue, I think, with the solid draft too. I mean, there's Carney Chukwuemeka, right? Cheaper player, but don't love the structure that I have here. I mean, if I made a 4-4-2, I wonder if I go João Pedro. I probably wouldn't. We'd probably have to upgrade from João Pedro, I think, just to be comfortable with structures. Ultimately, though, you also have the opportunity to just move out of Salah game week 2. You have 2 free transfers then. I guess you can just punt on João Pedro early on, right? Bank on these fixtures. Game week 2 it's bad for... I think it's bad for... Maybe you have to go cash, right? Because Shaw has a really bad fixture game week 2. So maybe you play cash because cash covers game week 2 really well. Everton here. So this could work in a Salah draft. Baldock as well actually has decent fixtures both games. So in theory, you've got a good defense. You would play this structure, and it would be a 3-5-2 to start with. And then game week 2, you can try João Pedro again, just to get the Salah captaincy off. And then after that, you just move away from Salah. It is probably my idea of how I would do it. Do I think João Pedro starts? Absolutely, I do. Thoughts on Mudryk? Wait and see for me, because I feel like Mudryk might not start the first game for Chelsea. Jackson or Mubama to have some extra flexibility in the bank. I mean, sorry, Jackson and Mubama are completely different options. Why is it between Jackson and Mubama for you? Colwell for cash. KDB and Foden starts. I called it. I don't like Pedro Porro. I'd much rather go Udogi. Sorry. Damn. Oof. No Stones or Guardiola. What did we say? Guardiola's not worth the punt. And Stones, I can't believe Stones is benched. Wow. See, this is why we do not invest into Manchester City defenders, my friends. We do not. Absolutely will not be investing in a City defender and never have to consider it, to be honest. Why are people putting Pickford over Steele or Nana? If you got the press conferences today, Roberto De Zerbi actually confirmed that Steele and Verbruggen will be actually rotating 50-50 over the course of the season. As far as Onana, I think I just prefer Shaw. Who's the defenders? Probably Akanji, Ake, and who else are they playing? I don't think. Maybe they're playing a back four. Maybe a back four. You could go. And what if Cancelo? What if Cancelo suddenly started? What if Cancelo started? That would be a bomb. That would be a bomb. I'll show you guys the leaks, actually. Like, let's just do that. I mean, who are they playing in defense? If you played a back four, you could put Walker into the lineup. You could put Ake and Akanji and Rico Lewis left back. I don't know. Man, Pep is cooking something serious to start the season. What is going on here? No. Okay, we just have to stay here and just check what's up here. I'll stay on this page and let's just respond to chat because this is mad. Diaz can't play. He's not even in the lineup. Like he hasn't even traveled. First year ever playing FPL. Am I wrong to have strong subs like Jackson? Look, Jackson's a good sub for game week 1, but you really should be putting someone as strong as Jackson in your lineup. I mean, as much as possible. I don't really even see the value of actually benching Jackson for game week 1. I mean, it's Liverpool's defense at the end of the day. Isn't Pedro Porro more nailed than Udogi? I don't think so. If you look at the preseason, Emerson actually played a lot more than, let's say, any other left back did play over Udogi. Akanji, Ake, Rico. I'm not touching the City defense, my friends. Thoughts on Isaac? Isaac? I don't really like him as a pick. Newcastle's fixtures they're just too bad for me, in my opinion. Lewis in the Stones role. I mean, that's what I was saying, right? Ake, Akanji, Walker. Yeah, that could work. Don't love Walker as a RCB, but hey. I mean, I don't think Walker has any attacking presence at all, to be honest. And Walker actually plays much less minutes too. That's been the biggest thing over the last 2 seasons, and that's why he wanted to move to Bayern Munich, right? Yeah. Let me just refresh and see if there's any other leaks. No Stones or Guardiola. That's it. Yeah, I'm not touching Foden. I don't know if anyone else is, but good luck with that. Lovely player. I mean, if Foden plays, we can't trust this source because this source was actually correct in Game Week 38. This source was absolutely correct on Game Week 38. Every leak that they made on Game Week 38 was correct. So I would trust this source. Um, and I would also trust Rico Lewis being starting as well, which is a crazy situation. Is Turner a nailed goalkeeper so far? But we can't be certain beyond that. Saka a good captaincy option. Yeah, he absolutely is a good captaincy option. Stone's 31% ownership. Yeah, we could be cooking, my friends. If people don't react to the leaks, we could be cooking. Man, these leaks though. That's mad. Look at the amount of followers this guy is getting. Like every passing second. He's gotten 5,000 followers in basically 5 minutes. That's the powers of leaks. FPL has begun. Diaz, don't go Diaz. Diaz is not playing. Diaz is not playing as well. You can't go Diaz. You can't go Diaz. Don't do it. Who should I choose from Mbuma and Matoma? I mean, I'd prefer an Arsenal midfielder if I'm being honest. Julian Alvarez. I don't think Alvarez is starting. If Foden and KDB starts, I don't really see how Alvarez starts unless he plays right wing. So unless Haaland is benched as well, I don't see it. Which City defenders are playing? We only know that Rico Lewis is playing so far. That's it. That's the only leak we've got in terms of the positive direction of who's actually playing for the City team. Yeah, very, very interesting situation. Yeah. Pretty mental. I'm basically just here sat for leaks, but I mean, I'm already set on my team. I don't know what you guys are up to, but I'm pretty set with my team. Try to get your team set up. Try and make sure you think about exactly what happens. All we know so far is De Bruyne starts, Foden starts, no Stones, no Guardiola, no Diaz. I mean, look, there's not too many City defenders left. I mean, it would be mental if Cancelo played, but I'm also not really expecting for that to happen. So, yeah, it's kind of the world that we live in. I'm literally just searching for some leaks as well. I don't think we've had any additional leaks from FPL Main Road. So right now, the only confirmed leaks are actually going to be the FPL newsletter and Flapjack FPL so far. In fact, let's just do something for fun for now. Is anyone actually captaining Saka in this situation? Should I start Jackson over Pedro? No, I would definitely play Pedro over Jackson. I mean, Luton Town is just like an incredible fixture. Udogi 1.1 million in the bank or James, and I'd probably go James honestly because I can play James Game Week 2. Man, what a crazy world this is. Rashi to KDB? I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Onana, Stones, and Saka, or Ederson, Shaw, and Martinelli. Is Trossard a good punt? I don't love Trossard as a punt, but yeah. Imagine if Ortega starts. If Ortega starts, he's my 4.0 goalkeeper immediately. What are your thoughts on Eze plus Salah or Odegaard plus Bruno Fernandes? I like Odegaard plus Bruno Fernandes more. Why Taylor is my 4.5 striker? Just so I can't lose prices on him. Price drops and things like that. You're going to spend the 1 million or save it? I'm going to save it. I'm not considering Rico Lewis. I mean, I gave it a good thought. a good consideration probably around an hour ago, and I'm not going there. Um, Thoughts on Matoma to Foden? I mean, if you want to do that, go for it. Because I think I would classify Matoma or Foden even as a short-term punt, anyways. So yeah, go for it if you'd like. Jackson and Chilwell or Colwell and Watkins. I think Jackson and Chilwell's a lot nicer. Is Foden starting confirmed? Yeah, it's confirmed. Best 4.5 striker. I'd probably go Archer. 7 plus forward plus Trippier Game Week 6 financially viable? It is financially viable. Yeah, I've tried it. You basically just cut down on one of your defenders. That's it. Should I start Jackson or over Mbumo? Like, for example, if I wanted to go Trippier, right, in this situation, let's just say I start with Jackson, like, just for the sake of it. Let's say I have Jackson. Let's say I have Richarlison, right? This is going to be my draft. So how do I get to Trippier here? I think probably what I would do is just, like, go away from Chilwell into, like, Botman. And then, like, either Shaw or James get moved on for Trippier. So that's an easy way to do it, right? You've got a 7 plus forward. You've got Richarlison who you want to punt on. Lots of 6.5s that are really good. Let's say if we don't like Mbumo, you can have Eze. So yeah, you can just do a double transfer with your two 5.5s, and you basically land on a 4.5 plus Trippier, which is quite nice. I'm gonna keep my team as it is. What do you think of Mitoma for Havertz? I definitely want to start Havertz over Mitoma if I'm being honest. No Stones of Guardiola. Yep, that's the leak that we've gotten. So I mean, let's have a look. Let's see if there's any other leaks. I haven't seen any other leaks so far. How ridiculous is it that we got a couple pieces of nuggets of information, and I still can't decide who's actually going to play for the City team right now. Yep. FPL Main Road has confirmed the same thing. He's also said no Stones. It's a tough situation. Like, I mean, one thing I'd probably consider starting with is Richarlison and Jackson maybe to start. Is the FPL website crashed? No way. All right. What if Haaland was benched? What do you guys think about that? The info is Stones is not playing. Guardiola is not playing. Diaz is not playing. De Bruyne is playing and starting. Foden is playing and starting as well. That's all we have so far. You're currently going for Jackson over Watkins. Yeah, that's fair enough. Makes sense to me. This is madness. This is madness. I don't think we have too many other sort of potential leaks that we can really get. Will John Stones play? He will not play. Okay, the FPL website. Is it working? Okay, it is working. Oof. These leaks are mental though. Gosh. Bruno or Havertz? Definitely Bruno. I mean, not even a question for me. Thoughts on having James from Game Week 1 and starting Bulldog for Shaw and transferring in James? Starting Bulldog for Shaw. What does that mean? Sorry. I mean, James on the bench is perfectly fine. That's what I've done. Rico's a short-term punt. I don't think so. I don't think I'll be going there, my friend. It is a bit too much of a punt. And also like the upside might not be that good. Yeah, like honestly, what Gerbicide said is correct. Like you can avoid Pep Roulette. In fact, I know someone who actually finished like top 1,000 last season without even getting a Man City player outside of Haaland. Like the whole season, he just had Ederson and Haaland. And you might be laughing because he had Ederson, but he still did really well. You don't really need to pick like Foden or KDB all the time because they do get rotated a lot. There's so much depth in that team. And I mean, if they get Paqueta, I don't even know what to say at that point. Oh god, apparently leaked lineups is saying he's gonna cook in 15 minutes as well. Whew. Do we have any other leaks? Some people are Saka captaining. I mean, if you're doing that, fair play. Fair play to you if you're doing that. Aren't you scared that James will get injured quickly? Not really. Not really. Your thoughts on upgrading Mbumo to Foden? Yeah, you could do that if you wanted to, but I personally really like Mbumo. What do you think about a midfielder Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard, Rashford, and Bruno? Well, that's fantastic. Are there any City players that you'd put in your team if they were guaranteed to start? Well, I mean, it doesn't matter whether they were guaranteed to start today. The question is, are they guaranteed to start the next week and the next week and the next week and the next week after that? So I just can't even see myself doing that. To be quite honest. Richarlison, yeah, Richarlison's definitely a good pick. I mean, I could like in the meantime just like quickly have a look at some other ideas. But I just really like this draft because it's very flexible, and I think João Pedro and Havertz like have really underrated Game Week 1 games, and in fact the goal scoring odds for Havertz and João Pedro are off the charts. I mean, I'll kind of explain this now. I think Rob T has a really good goal scorers list. So this is basically the goal scoring odds, or the expected goals for these players in Game Week 1. Now the Nketiah one is actually just depending on whether Nketiah starts. So obviously if Nketiah doesn't start, he's going to get 0 expected goals. But the idea is that, look, Havertz and João Pedro are incredible for their sort of price point. Now, I think this hasn't really been adjusted for Harry Kane leaving, but this is still some insane stuff, right? In terms of how high Havertz and João Pedro are, respectively. And that's because João Pedro, of course, is a penalty taker, and Havertz, a lot of people are expecting him to just play in the 9 again. And even the betting houses are doing that too. So I think it's quite an educated punt to suggest that Havertz would maybe start there again. And just the chance of that is sort of worthwhile for me to sort of go for that, which is why ultimately I'm on Havertz. Alvarez starts. Did you just get... Okay. Some of the leaks that we're getting are insane. Where are you getting Alvarez starts, though? I've not seen that. We can't see most of that. Oh, I'm really sorry. Is it cropped? Oh, can you see it now, actually? Is it better now? Haaland? No way Haaland is benched. Are you sure? Alvarez starts, what, does he start right wing? Or maybe Foden starts left wing. Maybe Foden could start on the left over Grealish. Full Man City squad just leaked. Who's got the squad? If you can direct me, if possible. Let's have a look. All right. Yeah, I'm not getting any additional leaks, right? I mean, let's just like sit over City HQ. No additional things. Where are you getting the full city leak? I'm not seeing anything so far. This is mad. Stone's replacement, definitely sure. Leaked lineups. Am I starting Chilwell? I'm not starting Chilwell at all. Sorry, this is the wrong leaked lineups, gosh. Team using ticks, isn't it? Let's have a look at him. 15 minutes, though. You've got 11 minutes left. You will probably have enough time to do this before someone posts team news if I get it. This is okay, fine. We have the exact same team, expect for 3 players. You've got Jackson, Baldock, Kabori, while you have Gabriel, James, and Taylor. I mean, look, going with Jackson is perfectly viable. You think it's a big mistake not going Salah? Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough. That's your opinion. I just like an additional Arsenal mid or an additional United mid. And I'm sure Salah will probably do extremely well in Gameweek 2, but it's also about how well the entire team, I suppose, with the additional transfers that I would get, not kind of going in and out of Salah, or even keeping Salah, for example, would mean for my team, let's say, between Game Weeks 1 and 8. And we'll just have to see what happens. Henry or Colville, considering Badiashile might be back soon. I'd probably go with Henry in that situation, because I am a little bit concerned about Badiashile coming back, particularly for the good fixtures, which is Game Week 3, 4, 5. Odegaard, Richarlison, Jackson, or Bruno, Martinelli, Diaby. I'd probably go Odegaard, Richarlison, Jackson for sure. I do like Bruno over Odegaard, if I'm being honest, but Richarlison and Jackson is much better. If that's sort of your comparison there. So I reckon Rico gets 60 minutes. I mean, he could, but he could also be subbed at halftime. He could even be subbed at 59 minutes, you know. That's the issue. Pep Guardiola is a madman. He really is. So, I mean, I suppose what we can do is just wait 8 minutes until team news and ticks comes around. Hopefully with a trusted Man City. If all he does is tell us that KDB is starting, like he sometimes does, I'm not down for that. What are my thoughts on Anthony? Odegaard over Havertz? Yeah, I mean, I like Odegaard over Havertz in isolation, but I also like the idea of going for Jackson. Because if I go Odegaard, right, in this draft situation, if I go Odegaard, which I obviously can, what's going on here? Yeah, if I go Odegaard here, how do I go to Jackson? It's quite tough, actually, isn't it? I would have to go sort of like something like 5.5 into 4.0, or I'd have to go Odegaard to Richarlison, which doesn't feel. I mean, that's already sort of screaming out to me as not the best transfer. Double transfer in Game Week 3, and yeah, what leak would make me buy someone if Erling Haaland was benched? I'd probably be on a Salah draft immediately. So yeah, that would probably be it. Just Haaland benched. Leaked FPL has the leaked lineup. Do I have to trust leaked FPL? Where's leaked FPL? Do we trust this? Walker, Akanji, Ake. Yep, fair enough. We expected this. Lewis Rodri expected this as well. Silva, Kate. Look, oh. If this is correct, I was actually pretty good with my estimation. If this is correct. Because I did call pretty much the entire team except for the back three. So I did say Lewis, Rodri, Bernardo on the right, Grealish on the left, KDB, Foden in the mid, and Haaland. No Ruben Diaz. Yeah, Ruben Diaz didn't travel. I mean, I don't know if we can trust this, to be quite honest. I haven't actually used leaked lineups before. But this isn't really going to move the needle for me, just in terms of how I would set my FPL team up, I guess. So yeah, kind of comes down to that, doesn't it? I need to double check that the FPL website's actually working, just in case I need to make some crazy transfers. I don't think we will, though, but the website is loading. Is the website working? It's not working. Get your phones out. Get your phones out. Get your phones out. If you need to make transfers, the last time it crashed, the FPL website was working on the phones. So you can do your transfers on your phones. I think it's usually better, even if the website crashes. Havertz says hi and he misses you. I've got Havertz. What do you mean? Havertz is right here. You know, just refresh the page and Havertz is there. The app works. Yeah, the phone works. So just always use your phone whenever the website doesn't seem to be working very well. You just tried to move Diaz to Ake. I'm not going near City, if I'm being honest. Can you discuss Martinelli versus Havertz? I mean, I think Havertz is more of a short-term punt. Martinelli is just a better long-term option. So for me, the way I see Havertz in my draft is he's a short-term punt because I can just go to Richarlison very, very quickly. And because I want to go Richarlison Game Week 4, I think Havertz is going to give me a little bit more breathing space, particularly if let's say I wanted to go Havertz Jackson. I can't really do that so easily if I went Martinelli. That 0.5 is really important for me if I want to go triple Chelsea. So that's kind of the situation that I find. Just joined the stream. Diaz is not even benched. He's actually not even playing. Foden, KDB, or Eze. I prefer Foden, but I don't really love most of those picks, if I'm being honest. Just because I think Foden, there's a bit of variability with how many starts he gets consistently. I'm hoping that we actually get appreciate that, Hakima. Watching 3 people at one time. I respect that. And thank you so much for watching me as well. Kept trolling before the season even starts. Hello, Luke Shaw. Hey, I was there already. Luke Shaw has been in my team for a moment now. Why did I move from Mubama to Taylor? I just don't want to lose price on a player, honestly. So Taylor will never change price value, if that makes sense to you. I mean, the last minute changes, if I want to make them, would probably be going for something like Jackson, Havertz still. But I don't know. I personally think I can navigate to Jackson if I want to quite easily. And yeah, it's actually quite hard. If you notice, for example, the way the fixtures lie, Arsenal kind of have a similar-ish fixture run to United, I would say, because both of them clearly have a bad Game Week 4. I'd say this Game Week 2 for Arsenal is not particularly good. Same thing with United, where they have to play Spurs away. That's even worse. So not exactly a great situation there. You could even consider, for example, just going with Richarlison instead as well. I mean, that's perfectly viable. In fact, yeah, I mean, it might be something that you'd like to do. I guess what I could do is I could also go Richarlison over Mbumo. But I think I'd like to go with Mbumo. The fixtures are just really, really good for Mbumo as well. I mean, like, yeah. Over the course of Game Weeks 1 to 8, quite good. Even if I was to wildcard on 9, I could even just jump off at Game Week 8, for whatever I need to do in that situation. And yeah, I just think the João Pedro punts, it's something that I really want to do. Luton Town should be a team that we are focusing on targeting. And that's why, for example, I'm also looking at triple Chelsea as an example. But I think, yeah, you could go. I mean, if you don't like this structure and you don't like an Arsenal midfielder, I guess what you could do is just go with Richarlison. And then you can just go Jackson. And maybe you can even downgrade one of the defenders. Like, I'd probably go Chilwell to Botman, yeah? Something like this. This could be quite nice, because then Game Week 1, you play Gabriel Estupiñán Shaw. Then you move Estupiñán to Chilwell, and then you actually have a pretty good team for Game Week 2 as well, where you just kind of play, maybe Gabriel, James, and Chilwell. Then you've got your triple Chelsea quite early, where Chelsea really have really, really good fixtures. And that could work conceivably quite well. What else could you do? I mean, this one still has 1 million in the bank, so I've probably got to think about, how I would spend it. You could even just start with Chilwell too. But then you've got too many defenders in a 3-5-2 structure, so I don't love that too much. Whereas when I'm going João Pedro, I'm sort of starting off the 4-5-1 anyways, and then maybe going for Richarlison Gameweek 4. At which point, obviously, I can just offload one of the defenders that I have. So that's an opportunity as well. If I start with my usual draft, I mean, yeah, I guess I could. Ultimately, it just comes down as well. If you look at Richarlison's fixtures, right? I think Richarlison, he looks really good long term, particularly on Game Week 3. But Brentford away, Man United at home, they don't scream amazing fixtures to me. Whereas Havertz is worth a punt, Odegaard's worth a punt as well. So I'm kind of locked into my team. Don't see myself changing the next 15 minutes. League lineups time. Let's have a look. I think we have to go to the man's Instagram, don't we? These guys are correct. Grealish isn't starting. So the other leaked lineups was wrong. The other leaked lineups was wrong. And this is why we can't trust everyone. These guys, are you joking? So this guy tells me that, okay, so if Grealish doesn't start, maybe Foden's on the left and maybe Kovacic is playing as well. I'm struggling right now. Too many leaks. A lot of people getting it wrong as well. Is he doing anything for Instagram? Why am I not following him? I thought I was. Alvarez starting. I still don't know. I haven't got any news on Alvarez. The 15-minute wait was just to confirm the City leaks. I mean, he kind of killed off someone else's leak though, right? So he killed off the other leaked lineups leak. So that's not great. Wan-Bissaka, I'd definitely pass on him. I think he rotates too much with Dallo. You're backing Rico. Fair enough. Good luck with that punt. Guessing Bernard on the right. Yeah, I mean, Bernardo should always be on the right, right? Because he's played there so many times. I'm just talking about on the left. If Grealish doesn't start, then Foden has to play on the left, right? Or are we seeing Cole Palmer on the left? Odegaard or Martinelli? I'd prefer putting my stocks in Odegaard. Thoughts on triple Brighton? If you can pick 3 starters for Brighton, I would definitely think about it. Yeah, it's a good opportunity. Go for it. I don't want to be too mean to Luton Town, but I mean, I don't have high expectations of them. This is a good tweet. Man City picks outside of Haaland are about as reliable as a Fiat Punto. We do not have good enough leakers. Why Mbeumo over Matoma? Because I'm not really seeing myself, changing that position for Mbeumo too much. I like the penalties as well. That's a huge sort of upgrade to someone in his position. Fran is like that comforting big brother you have who's so kind at inside. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Kanan. Jackson plus a bench, 4.5 defender, Foden with no bench. I prefer Jackson, honestly. But it's tough because I like Foden in theory is a nice punt because you can always move away from Foden, I suppose. It is the way you could see it as well. Like Foden will always move the needle for me from an FPL point of view because he is a crazy player. But ultimately I still think Havertz is arguably a better pick. Just for the punt, right? Because with Foden, it's not like, for example, he's playing false 9. You're kind of seeing him in the midfield. So Havertz, if he has a chance to play at the 9, and you put, let's say, a percentage that Havertz will play 20% in the 9, 80% LCM, that 20% at LCM at home, playing versus such a weak team is probably nicer than Burnley away. And Burnley, I think, are still a better defensive team than what Havertz will be facing up with in terms of Forest. So just in terms of game week 1, and then after that, I've got more comfortability over Havertz's minutes just for game weeks 2 and 3, and that sort of short cycle where Jesus is out, than someone like Foden, where he could be benched. I mean, look at the amount of people who got benched today that you would 100% said they would start. I would have said Stones would have started. Look where he is now. I would have said Grealish would have started too, and apparently he's not starting. So this is sort of the crazy landscape of City. Mikey Slices, thank you so much, Mikhail. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for the donation. Good luck to you as well. I wonder if you actually have any West Ham players in your team. But anyways, wishing the best of luck for you this season as well. And thank you so much for the donation. Why not Odegaard rather than Havertz? I wanted flexibility to kind of go to Jackson, just in case Jackson looked really, really good. Is there a reason why I'm seeing a resurgence of people having Archer on the bench? Yes, because apparently he's quite close to Sheffield United, so he could be actually the starting Sheffield United striker. So yeah, that's a very, very real possibility. You have Osula right now? Yeah. I would definitely switch to Archer in that situation. By the way, actually, this is a good opportunity to shout out a couple of things that I've done. I actually have 2 money leagues as well. Like, not money leagues, but like just totally free to enter leagues. So, for example, the league that you can actually see up above, this league code, as long as you're subscribed to me, I'm giving out some prizes for this code. And then I'm also doing a kind of Twitter giveaway with my friend Mayor, FPL Mayor on Twitter. And then there's also just another free to enter one. All you need to do is be followed to me on Twitter. And yeah, you'll get access to basically these prizes at the end of the season. I'll be paying them over on PayPal. So yeah, best of luck to you guys as well. I also have a members prize league too, but those are just for channel members. If you're at all interested, the members, of course, are the ones who actually support my channel greatly. So that's really, really appreciated. But yeah, those are the kind of leagues that I'm running this season. If you're interested, Gabriel what do you mean Gabriel's benched? Sorry, please be serious for a moment. Gabriel not available. Are you joking? Please be serious. I've got 7 minutes. No, you're not serious. Andy. Okay, Andy. No way, man. Okay. You're stressing me out, my friends. Are we going? Saliba. Let's just go Saliba. Oh, yeah, I'm going Saliba, man. I don't care. Is the website down? Are you mad? Oh, man. Please don't do this to me. Get your phones out. Get your phones out. This is stress, man. This is stress. What is going on? The website died. I'm sending the transfer request. I've done it, guys. I've got Saliba in my team. Get your phones out right now. Get your phones out right now. Whew. I'm stressed. I'm stressed. That's mad. This is so mad. What a world we live in. I love it. Like, the deadlines are just crazy. Ake and Akanji starts. That's what I've actually heard. Some more updated news. Ederson starts. Some more updated news as well. No Grealish confirmed once again by Flapjack FPL, the man, the legend. Yeah. This is so mental. This is so mental. Are you sure Gabriel isn't starting, or did Andy just do it because he wanted Saliba more? Pickford or Flecken? I'd go Pickford. I've gone Pickford. You can see my team. Actually, you can't see my team because the website's down. Let me tell you guys what my team is: Pickford, Saliba, Shaw, Estupinian, Mbumo, Rashford, Saka, Havertz, Fernandes, Haaland, João Pedro, Chilwell on the bench, James on the bench, Joe Taylor, who's no longer available for FPL, so just go for Archer instead if you want to do that. Let's talk FPL, aka Andy, is saying that Gabriel's out. So I'm just responding to that as best that I can, really. He was saying that it wasn't full confidence. No, but to be honest though, Andy says that every time that he's not fully confident. But when Andy got it perfectly right the last time he said that Saka was gonna miss out. Do you guys remember when he said that Saka was gonna miss out, and that was true? So I believe Andy with my heart. And honestly, Saliba, Gabriel, not the biggest difference in the world if we're being honest. Gabriel's out. Shane, get your website's down. Website is down. Get on your phones, right, and move Gabriel to Saliba quickly. Or you can encounter a server error, which is basically the white screen that I have now. Let's have a look. Yeah, they need to pay for some more server capacity, don't they, at FPL Towers? Whew. Stressful times. I appreciate it, Tachi. Don't worry about that. Thank you very much. 4 minutes of hell left, and we still don't even know the city lineup. Yeah. I mean, look, Gabriel can't bring you anything if he's not playing football. That's all I'm gonna say. Gabriel can't bring you anything if he's not playing football. So, I say they're the same because it's a good replacement for an Arsenal defender. Do you know what I mean? Do you know when is the best time for the first wildcard this year? I would say 9 is nice, or actually just go a little bit later this season as well. You could do that. Imagine the people left their teams an hour ago. See, this is the problem with FPL. If you're living somewhere in Asia, right, which the deadlines are terrible on a Saturday morning sometimes. You're either waking up and actually ruining your sleep to actually find out the news that Grealish is benched, Foden is starting, KDB is starting, Stones is not starting, etc., etc. I've gotten rid of Gabriel. Apparently he's out, as per Let's Talk FPL. So whoa! I don't even know if my transfer went through. But anyways, my phone, if you guys can see it, I've gone for Saliba. But yeah, that's what I'm doing now, just to react to some news. If I have any other news, this is terrible. But yeah, I feel bad for the people who don't get to actually be around on the deadline. It's really tough. Is the phone not working? I don't even know if my transfer is legit then. How do you guys know? Because okay, I've got Saliba for sure. So hopefully that works out. Thoughts on Bernardo over Foden? Nah, I prefer Foden. If you really want to go for a city punt, and I can tell you probably do because you're called FPL Aguero, so go for it. Fran, would you go Jota, Martinelli, or Odegaard and Richarlison? Definitely Odegaard and Richarlison, my friend. Definitely Odegaard and Richarlison. Because I can't be certain of Jota's minutes, and Richarlison as a striker seems really appetizing to me. Jackson / Martinelli or Odegaard / João. João. I'd probably go for Odegaard João, to be honest. Hey, Fran. Gabriel out. Yep, I've responded, guys. I can't show you guys my team. The website is down, but I have Saliba on my team. You know what? I'm just going to put a little text message here. If I can get it up. Saliba, Gabriel is out. You've got 1 minute to get Gabriel out of your team. Try and do it on your phone. I know it might not be possible. Just going to leave that message there. Try and respond as best as possible. And best of luck, guys. Honestly, best of luck for the FPL season. Absolutely love you guys. 1 minute left. Couple seconds left. All right. Pens down. So that's it. I thank you guys so much for watching the stream. This was pretty epic. I'm actually sweating, like profusely sweating. Okay, happy for you there, Mikhail, because that's awful. Love you, Henry. Love you, Mikey, as well. Thank you so much for the donation again. Yeah, enjoy yourselves, guys. Remember, always get your phone out when the website's crashing, and don't trust every single leaker in the world. And also don't trust in Pep Roulette as well. Thank you guys so much for joining the stream. Remember that you promised to show your cock. But what was the condition though? What was the condition for me to show my Cockney accent? I swear I didn't fulfill the criteria. Because it was something to do about whether I benched Bruno Fernandes, right? And I swear I benched him. And so I feel like I don't have to do it. But if you have a screenshot, fair enough. I'm getting a phone call from a friend. Let's see what he's going to say. Hello? Saliba. Right, great. Gonna hang up from now. Yeah, just phoned a friend. Confirmed. We got you guys. You kept Gabriel. I mean, good luck. Honestly, I hope Gabriel starts. But I've gone for Saliba. I trust Andy. Andy's the GOAT, as you guys know. Let's see what happens. Hopefully you guys have strong benches. I've got the most ridiculous bench in the world. I mean, I've got literally James and Chilwell. So where did people see the news that Gabriel is out? I think they saw it on Let's Talk FPL's YouTube live stream. But there are so many people who do punts. And there's too much rotation in this world. Like, honestly, it's absolutely mental. I'm going to enjoy myself watching City, watching my Haaland captaincy. Hopefully he doesn't fail, and hopefully Saka doesn't outscore him. And that's pretty much all I want for this game week. I want Havertz to pop off and Odegaard to keep it quiet so I can feel a little bit better about my decision. But ultimately, I want Shaw to do well too. Can't wait to watch. If Haaland is benched, hey, there's always next season. The relief after the deadline is real. Yeah, I think so, right? Because I've probably spent hours and hours of my life just thinking about FPL every day. And then when the deadline hits, I don't have any control anymore. It's up to the players. And then I just have to hope that people pop off the way I want them to. And that other people don't pop off as hard. And that's pretty much it. But I've got no control there, so that's nice. But there's a lot of stress that goes into just creating, your 15-man draft. So it's tough. Actually, a little bit of a fun thing. I want you guys to have a look at my drafts. Oh, the game is updating. I wanted to actually show my FPL drafts, like in terms of the draft game mode, just for fun. But I guess, obviously, I totally forgot about game updating. Haven't really missed that, to be honest, with some website crashing and a couple leaks that make it crazy. If Caicedo goes to Liverpool, didn't Caicedo reject Liverpool, though, Parth? Wasn't that the sort of news that we got today? But yeah, that was mental. I mean, yeah, we'll just have to hope for the best. What do you guys think in terms of like video content for me to do over the course of the season? Do you guys want the cheat sheets just in one video, just sort of like last season? Midnight Mule, thank you for being around. Appreciate it. And good to see you around in the live stream as well. But what do you guys think about, in general, the sort of content? So I'm planning to sort of do game week reviews and then game week previews, a cheat sheet as well. One cheat sheet only. But if you guys want to do it positional, because maybe the start of the season could be very, very sort of dramatic, I suppose. But I'm planning to sort of stick to a one video cheat sheet. And then my team selection, obviously. That sort of thing. All those Watkins drafts only for me to panic and buy. Why'd you panic and buy Pedro? You like those goal score odds? You panic bought Akanji? Hey, at least you panic bought a guy who's actually probably going to be starting today. I have no confirmation of that. Actually, I do. Ake and Akanji definitely start. Let's see if we actually got any more leaks. I don't think so, no. Maybe not. That was okay. Wait, what was Jan's team there? I need to post my team now, to be honest. This guy is one of the best. This guy is one of the best players in FPL, in the history of FPL, actually. Pretty similar. Pretty similar to our draft. It has Jackson over us, which was expected because obviously, if you have the opportunity to go Jackson, you probably would. But, I've got 2 Chelsea as well. Pretty similar draft, to be honest. I respect that. One of the GOATs of FPL for sure. I didn't even take a screenshot of my draft, so I can't even post it. Oh, man. I'm such a walking L. Oh, nope, got my phone. Clutch. Sorry, guys. Just gotta do the job, behind the curtain of just doing tweets. Leaked lineups on Twitter has the full team. No, but that's not correct though, right? Because you're talking about the wrong leaked lineups. You're talking about this leaked lineups, right? This guy got it wrong. This guy got it wrong because this guy's saying Grealish started, but then someone else confirmed that Grealish is not starting. So this lineup is actually wrong, right? So yeah, don't trust absolutely everyone out there. I mean, who knows? He might get 10 out of 11 wrong or right. I mean, right, sorry, but yeah, it seems like this lineup is wrong. So I would say don't trust this account in the future. Some accounts that have never really gotten wrong. Team News and Tix has never really got it wrong. I think Lazy FPL has never got it wrong. Flapjack FPL has never got it wrong as well. So, mate, Lazy FPL has literally gotten 22,000 followers for Man City leaks. That is mad. It's a lot of impressions as well. Pays well to be an in the know. That's for sure when it comes to FPL because we need this information desperately. So I'm just gonna quickly post my lineup on Twitter just to get that going. Did anyone actually captain Saka? I'm actually quite curious whilst I just quickly bust this tweet out. I hope Saliba's in my team. If he's not in my team, I don't even know what to say at this point. All right, let's have a look. Wait, Saj, you live in Hong Kong? Mate, that's mad. I was in Hong Kong in December. You could have just told me, and maybe we could have met up there. Cheat sheets are the most useful. Anything else is a bonus. I appreciate that, Midnight Mule. Thank you very much. Captain Saka, Rashford, Vice, Mohammed, mate, you are absolutely. You've got a strong pair there, my friend. Like, I don't know. I've gone for Holland, to be honest. I thought it was pretty close. Are you ever considering coming back permanently? I mean, no, because my wife sort of prefers living in Hong Kong, so I'm staying. I mean, prefers living in London. Yeah, if I can get some words out of my mouth. But yeah, I see myself living in London for the foreseeable future, and we'll see what happens. There was someone in the Discord that had Saka captain, but he didn't notice and he changed it. Oh, that's sad, isn't it? We want some Saka captainers in this world. MCFC being the first game of the game week. That's true actually. How often are you to get like really, really, really important city leaks? I mean, it happened a couple of times last season, if we're being honest. You know, when Haaland was benched, that was the game week there as well. I actually sold Haaland on that game week. Do some crossover videos. You should join the biggest YouTube FPL channel in Hong Kong. I mean, can you put me in contact with them? Because I'd happily do it. Is Hong Kong a nice place to visit if you only speak English? Actually, I would say so. In fact, my dad is Spanish and still doesn't know how to speak Cantonese despite living there for 22 years. 28 years, sorry. And that's extremely embarrassing, but he's lived there for a good 28 years. You'll find everything, is doable if you speak English. Been watching a bunch of movies based in Hong Kong. Did you watch In the Mood for Love? One of my favorite movies actually ever. I always say I'm not going to be glued to team leaks before the deadline. I mean, you've got to be, right? I mean, look, if you don't know team leaks, you're just suddenly going to start Saliba for what? I mean, sorry, Gabriel for what? And, team leaks are unfortunately an essential part of playing FPL. It doesn't really take much skill to sort of react to a team leak, but you have to be there for those like 10, 20 minutes. Yeah, Wong Kar-wai's films are just, they're beautiful. And I mean, honestly, In the Mood for Love is basically a top 5 film for me. How am I feeling? I'm feeling pretty good. The sweat is over. The relief is here. And I'm just hoping that Haaland does well and everyone else in City doesn't do too well. We'll see what happens. Stones, Diaz, and Gabriel all don't play. Foden starts. I mean, did you go for anyone who got benched, Diamond? James Benson, that's a pretty nice team that you got going there. Good luck with Watkins as well and Foden. Will I regret not bringing in Archer for my price locked 4.5? I mean, I don't mind, honestly. I mean, like, you got to think about it as well. Like, how good is Sheffield United as an offense? You know? How good are they going to be to make you actually truly regret it? Imagine the guy that gave Andy News meant Gabriel Mart. To be honest though, moving from Gabriel to Saliba is really not the worst thing in the world, right? Especially if Gabriel's benched. But imagine if you did something crazy, like you started Martinelli. That would be terrible, but I don't think that's happening. Picked Martinelli over Foden, perfectly fine. I've gone Havertz over Foden. I've gone Havertz over Odegaard, and I've gone Havertz over Richarlison. And I might look like an idiot, and that's okay. I brought in Foden as soon as I saw the leaks. I think he has great potential tonight. That's true. You can obviously watch up to... I mean, I like to plan between game weeks 1 to 8 at the bare minimum, right? So I don't have enough of a justification. Like, just because I have Foden at maybe like 80 minutes for game week 1, that might not be enough to say that Foden's really good value between game weeks 1 and 8. Things like that. We can see the different views and opinions from English and Cantonese community. You mean just in terms of what though? Like in terms of how they rate FPL picks? You know, I'm actually in an FPL league, I think like a Hong Kong league, and it's like a couple of my friends and their fathers who are all quite into football for some odd reason. But yeah, I like Havertz, but was too scared to put him in. Hey, I'm all for punts. I'm all for punts. I love my punts. And yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy with this. I still have Gabriel is out, Saliba in. Sorry about that, guys. I didn't even notice that was still there. But yeah, that's my team. Pretty low quality photo, hey? Oh well. What can you do sometimes? This is a pretty nice team. This is basically my team, but actually without the 1 million in the bank. This is my friend's team. This guy's my podcast sort of partner. So I actually run a podcast called the FPL Script. And it kind of deals with like a more analytical approach to FPL. So if it's something that you're interested in, I mean, definitely have a look at the channel. I would appreciate it. I try to keep it low key in terms of I don't want to paste you guys with ads all the time, but I think it could be quite useful in terms of if you're interested in the use of models for FPL and taking in an analytical approach at times. Because for example, like I'm someone who obsessively looks at player stats, but you can also look at models too, and sometimes that's quite helpful. Score prediction for Burnley Man City. I mean, probably 4-1. No, I'm kidding. It's like, I would say 3-0 is a pretty comfortable scoreline. Do you think starting Chilwell over Baldock is a big blunder? No, not at all. I mean, I don't think you should ever feel comfortable starting a Sheffield United defender if I'm being completely honest. Yeah. Right, sorry. So this was his team. I mean, come on, man. You've gone for Watkins. Fair enough. Let's give it a like. Throw him a like. What other teams do we get? This is actually quite a Hall of Fame manager as well. Marco's actually a very, very famous manager. Not famous, but I mean, like, he's not super well followed, but you should probably think about giving him a follow. Very, very serious manager. And he's gone for basically the same draft, but he's gone for Martinez. Very interesting. I'll tell you why he's gone for Martinez. Because basically, in the Odegaard draft, one of the situations is if you go for Shaw, it's very, very hard to go for Jackson. So what he's done in this situation is he's gone for Martinez instead, and he's not really taking a punt on Shaw. And he's keeping Odegaard in the team, which means he's quite safe, obviously. But he's got 2 transfers to Jackson. Previously, what you'd have to do is you'd have to go from, let's say, Shaw to, let's say, Baldock, and then you get the 1.5 back to go from João Pedro to Jackson. In this situation, he's actually saved 0.5 in the bank, right? Avoiding that sort of transfer, probably because he didn't really want to spend too much money on United defense, which is totally fine. And then he's actually gone for basically, let's say if he goes, let's say if he doesn't like Estupinian in the future, or if he wants to downgrade Odegaard to maybe Richarlison, he's got the money there too now in that situation. A little bit more flexibility. So he can even go Madison now, and he can even potentially go maybe even Foden, maybe even Havertz if Havertz looks really, really good for some reason. But yeah, much more flexibility, I suppose. This is actually quite a nice transfer variation. But as I said, I do really like Shaw over Martinez, so that's why I've gone for Shaw and Havertz. All right, every week's cheat sheet downloadable. What do you mean in terms of Excel files? I like to put my cheat sheets on Twitter. So you'll find every week that I'll probably pin my cheat sheet as a mega thread. So like I've got a thread of a thread, and these are all my cheat sheet threads basically in a small version. So I hope that can be helpful to some of you guys as managers. If you want to send your teams, feel free to DM it to me. But I'm probably going to be logging off soon. Sheffield United have financial issues and have a terrible squad. 100% they're cannon fodder. Those are my thoughts anyways. So who is playing? Stone's out. Yeah, Stone's out. I think Ake's playing. Akanji's playing. Rodri, Rico Lewis is playing. KDB and Foden are playing. That's all we know so far, I think. Gabriel seems to be out, with news of Madison getting penalties. I mean, can we really confirm that Madison's being on penalties? I know Baker suggested it would happen, but how can we know? In terms of how long it takes to produce the cheat sheet, I mean, honestly, couple hours, quite a few hours. I mean, the initial onboarding process of sort of getting all the stats from all the players last season took a lot of time. And obviously, I spend a lot of time paying reference to models, and I also spend a lot of time paying reference to actual football. So, for example, any preseason developments, and I spend that time sort of making sure I have a good sort of understanding and rating of being able to sort of tell you guys what I think are good picks or bad picks as well. So my midfield is Madison, Rashford, Saka, Foden, Martin. I mean, that's a very strong midfield. I've got no complaints over it. Are you going to stream till the official lineup drops? Yeah, we might as well. It's just 12 more minutes. Let's just stay around. Missed the news about Gabriel. I already have a paper-thin bench. Oh, no, Anka. I'm so sorry about that. I'm really sorry about that. That's tough. That's really tough. Got to go. Yep, take care, Henry. Thank you for being around as well. Is Gabriel actually out? I mean, I can't confirm. I mean, we'll find out. We'll find out eventually. Do you guys want me to stay on streaming until 12 minutes? There is precisely zero source for Gabriel being injured. I wouldn't say so, Badger Sprite, because Andy in the past, in my opinion, has gotten some really, really kind of intricate news about Arsenal sort of transfers, or not even transfers, but more so injuries, right? And sudden sort of benchings. So for example, if you guys remember game week, was it 23 last season when Saka was sick? Andy got that news and he confirmed it to us, and it actually ended up being right that Saka was benched on that game. So I think I've got a decent amount of faith about Andy and the veracity of what his source has given us in the past in terms of some really, really, out of left field leaks. So I do trust it with quite a bit of confidence. And obviously there's a lot of reputation for Andy on the line as well. He's the biggest FPL channel, and I would trust him, if we're being honest. Oh, Gabriel Jesus being out. I mean he's been confirmed by Arteta to be out though, no? Even in the press conference today, if that's what you're saying. No, Andy was not referring to Gabriel Jesus. He was definitely referring to Gabriel. I had a friend who was on a stream who saw that he was going out of Gabriel into Saliba. So, yeah. What on earth is this Gabriel frenzy? Well, Gabriel, the centre back, seems to be out for tomorrow's game. As for the reason, I really can't tell you, Mikey. Really can't tell you. No Watkins. Nope. Gone for João Pedro, my friend. Gone for João Pedro. I've gone hunting for some punts. Basically, is what I've done here. And I'm kind of happy. I'm happy with the team at the end of the day. 1 million in the bank. I'm surprised that so many have gone for Mbumo. He's a bit of a longer term play. Absolutely, he's a long term play. How are people planning on getting Richarlison? I mean, you don't need to get the two of them in my personal opinion. But what you could do is just simply go from Havertz to Richarlison. That's my transfer idea, anyways. I plan to go from Havertz to Richarlison in Gameweek 4. So that's my general sort of transfer plan lined up. And then I'm going to keep Mbumo, as you say, for the long term. Gabriel out for 236 months. Yeah, that's a pretty good amount of time. Hello, Grime Stories. How are you? Foden or Martinelli? I mean, why are you asking now? You've already made your decision, so just be happy with it. My biggest punt this game week is Garnacho. Fair enough. I mean, look, I don't particularly rate Sancho, so if Garnacho gets to play up top now that Højlund is out, fair enough. Good luck with that punt. Yeah. Got a good old 9 minutes until we get the old City punt going, so let's see what happens there. Who do you think will do better this game week, Foden or Martinelli? I mean, I would actually probably say Foden. Imagine Andy is sending all of us and has some like pre-recorded video. That would be mental. Let's see what Focal's gone for. He's gone for a pretty similar team to mine. Less, bench heavy. He's got a lot of money in the bank though. Okay, so he's going for the same thing where he's kind of thinking, I'm going straight to João Pedro with 1 million. Sorry, straight from João Pedro into Jackson with 1.5 million in the bank. That's fair enough. Fair enough. The thing is, I don't necessarily see myself having to go to excuse me, sorry. I don't see myself necessarily having to go to Jackson. But the idea of being open to Jackson is quite nice. And let's say if I don't like Mbumo, or for whatever reason he's injured, I can even just keep Havertz as well. Or upgrade the two of them actually at the same time. Just go Richarlison plus someone else. That could always work. Just want to see what other lineups people have. Richarlison and Jackson. Yeah, we talked about this draft. If you guys remember, actually, it was very similar to ours, but just two different moves. What's FPL mate gone for? Everyone's team is so similar, isn't it? He's gone for Chilwell. It's a pretty big attacking punt. He's gone for Maddison as well. He's a big fan of Maddison because I think, the season he ended top 300, I believe Maddison carried him quite a bit as well. So I'm sure he has like an emotional attachment. And we all do have emotional attachment to FPL players. Let's be honest. When FPL review crashes. Okay. FC Saigon. Okay. Analytics rise up. You can see that I've got a very analytics sort of centric FPL community. But yeah. Pretty mental news, genuinely. Okay, so Andy said that he's not injured. I mean, maybe he's got some sort of concussion situation as well. It's kind of hard to say. Could just be a symptom of that, really. So 11 of 5 has gone for Jackson as well. Yeah, fair enough. I am a bit of a punter for João Pedro, so I do love it myself. It's my friend Jack. Very, very similar drafts. Pretty crazy, actually, how sort of homogenous that is. Do you think leaks ruin FPL? I mean, this is a very good question. I would say 100%. I think it's unfair for some people, particularly in different places in the world, to have to stay up at ridiculous hours in the day to sort of respond to leaks, and you'll suffer a lot, and you want this game to be as easy as possible. Thank you so much for subscribing. Really appreciate it. Hope you stick around. Salah Hat-Trick Sunday. Man, Salah scores a hat trick in game week 1. I might actually be crying, but we'll see. Same for price changes. That's a fair. As in, you guys don't like price changes. I think Gabriel might not play. You guys just subbed. Thank you guys so much. Imagine not picking Salah. Well, that's what I've done. So we'll see what happens. Sorry. So assuming you were planning to transfer Shaw to James game week 2, do you think that's worth more than saving the transfer by having James from game week 1, but just on the bench and starting Chilwell instead of Shaw? I mean, look, the thing is, Shaw's got a brilliant fixture. Wolves are currently managerless. Shaw's got good attacking output comparable to Chilwell, I would say. And for that reason, I'd probably be more interested, particularly if you already had someone on the bench, to go for Shaw. But I don't really mind both ways, actually, because some people are really opposed to the idea of booking a transfer for game week 2. So it just depends on whether you want to sort of take that risk on. And some people do, some people don't. I'm not going to criticize it. Do you foresee a price rise for Chilwell before game week 3? Very, very well could happen. It could even happen if he does well versus Liverpool, which is more than plausible. Oh, for sure. If you have a time to check. Yeah, but the thing about price rises is you can kind of check at any point in the day, I suppose. Whole FPL community copied Andy. Oh, why? Because you had to check on his stream. Or do you mean in terms of moving from Gabriel to Saliba? 4 minutes and then we've got the city lineups. Hey, Alan. Hope you're doing well. Foden in. Okay, MFC. Very, very nice. Good luck to you. .4 minutes and then we'll have some fun. So let's get ourselves over to Man City's Twitter page and see what they have for us in 3 minutes in store. Will Ake play? I believe Ake is starting. I believe Ake, Akanji, KDB, Foden are all starting. As far as the rest of the teams, I'm not sure, to be honest. I think we know Rico Lewis and Rodri are starting. That's for sure. Pep just likes to watch the world. I mean, the thing is, like, Pep does have a super team, right? Did you make any last-second panic changes besides Saliba? No, not at all. I debuted a draft, basically, that was a modified version of the draft that I had yesterday. And I actually said this at the start of the stream. I basically said, if I don't have Diaz, I probably don't want Stones. So that's why I've gone away from the Stones draft, and I have cooked something with Shaw. Let's go Simply FPL. Are you coming from Simply FPL stream? Is he back again this season? It's really good to hear, because I know he was sort of looking at, childcare last season as well, and that kind of took some time out of him, but hope he's well. Walker, Lewis, Rodri, Kovacic all playing. See, that's the thing. Kovacic is the one that I was saying that if Foden goes on the left, Kovacic can easily play sort of up front in that sort of box next to KDB. So that's very plausible. How do you know this, though? I guess we've got 2 minutes left to confirm that. Do we have full team news? Not for City. I'm kind of just waiting for the next 2 minutes, right? And then we'll get the City news and get it over and done with, really. And then we'll probably log off, because I've got nothing really in this game other than Haaland. I wonder if we can actually get a bit of a flavor for the ownerships. Do you think the FPL website is actually loaded? No, it hasn't. Still updating. I mean, it's a crazy little update for the season, so. So smooth, so decisive. I appreciate that, Jordy. When you spend the amount of hours, I think, thinking about FPL, I would hope that I'm decisive. I don't think he's injured, but apparently he's going to miss the game tomorrow. So, for example, Diaz is not injured, but he's going to miss the game because of concussion protocols. I mean, I guess you could treat that as an injury, obviously. But we'll see what happens. I feel like because of the Stones and Diaz sort of news, everyone's gone for Shaw, so everyone has the same thing. The Gabriel one has made everyone just go to Saliba, which is the same thing. Estupiñán, the same thing. Pickford and Turner, same thing that everyone has. And then, like, most people have Mbumo. Some people have Foden. There's obviously a big sort of Guardiola starting? Really? All right. Have I gone crazy? No, he's not starting. Alvarez is starting. Wow. Is that Alvarez? Okay. Back three of Walker, Akanji, Ake. Fine. Midfield, Luis Rodrigo. Is that basically suggesting Bernardo left center mid, KDB right center mid, Foden left wing, Alvarez right wing? Or do you think Alvarez will play in the middle? You've got KDB in? I mean, Alvarez is a good pick, but I really like João Pedro too, to be honest. Wow. That's kind of crazy, though. I mean, think about it. You've got Grealish who can always come on. Cole Palmer will just take minutes away later in the second half. Kovacic can take minutes away from people. Guardiola can come in and take some minutes away from people. They're just a very deep team. KDB deeper, you think? But what do you mean by KDB deeper? You think they're going to play? What formation do you think they were going to play? Because this looks like a 3-2-2-3, no? Will there be any price rises tonight? Oh God, you made me forget about that. You know what? No, there can't be prices rises tonight unless people just immediately go FOMO over Foden. Stones isn't even the squad. I think he's injured, or I don't really know what's going on with him. But Stones is basically permanently a hospital patient, even though he's a world-class player. That's the one thing he just doesn't have down, like consistency or the ability to be consistent. I say that, by the way, having Reece James on my bench, so I hope that doesn't bite me. Yeah. You think 4-1-2-2? You think they're playing? Oh, you okay? Yeah, I see what you mean. So you think like Lewis left back, right? Or do you think like, yeah, like do you think Lewis left back in that situation, and then you're playing Kyle Walker right back, and then what, like fourth? Effectively, I mean, it's tough. We'll see. If you look at the Community Shield game. Yeah, but the Community Shield game was slightly different, right? Because you've got, I mean, I haven't seen KDB and Alvarez in a lineup in a while, so I would be interested to see what happens. Alvarez will press from the front. I mean, yeah, if you're suggesting a front two, that could make, I mean, if that's their formation, I guess we'd have to all go Alvarez literally next week. And in fact, I can do it because I can go João Pedro to Alvarez. But yeah, I mean, let's not overreact. City can always change their formation every other day, so it's tough. But this is the first time I've also seen, Foden and Alvarez, if we're being honest, so that's tough. As a City fan, I can't even decide. I thought about going for Akanji, but no City def. I mean, look, Akanji might not play next week, and who knows, Akanji might get subbed off at 45 minutes. One of my lights has just gone off. Pep is a joke, man. I think it's 4-1-4-1. I mean, we'll have a look. Switch Stones for Akanji. I think he's likely to start the next games too. I mean, Akanji could, because the nice thing about Akanji is that I would say he can actually sort of play everywhere in that back line, and arguably even in the central position if Diaz is out. So that's a nice plus. Whereas, for example, Ake, I think he's clearly someone who just plays more on the left-hand side. Yeah, I would agree with you 100%, Alan. Someone who actually carries the ball in the midfield, and drives with the ball. Because even Stones is actually really good at carrying the ball. And in the lineup, because Stones was playing as a center back, it didn't look particularly good. Give a prediction on my overall rank. Look, guys, let's be honest. I've taken a massive punt for Game Week 1 for Havertz and João Pedro. So I hope I'm inside the top 100k. I hope so. If I'm not, you won't see me here next week. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I'd hope in the top 100k, because I've gone for a punt, and I've kind of gone for the flexibility with the money in the bank to actually move away from that punt, if that makes sense. As far as what Saj is saying, Gabriel is out with a rare case of tonsillitis. This is my season. I mean, last season was good for me, but I think upon reflection, last season I did really poorly. Like, I made a lot of mistakes, and in fact, I think if I take the lessons and the learnings from my mistakes last season and sort of reapply to this season with a good bit of luck, I could do much better this season. But I mean, a top 10k finish is pretty good, I would say. So we'll see if I can. That's the target at the bare minimum, and then hopefully, I mean, not at the bare minimum, because a lot of my friends, a lot of great managers don't get top 10k, but hopefully we'll be fine. Badger Sprite, he was pictured in training today with no word of him getting hurt or not playing from the people there watching Arsenal train. I appreciate that, Badger, but as I was trying to say, I do tend to trust Andy because there's a lot of his reputation on the line, so I don't want to go against what Andy said. And his Arsenal sources in the past have proved right. So that's yeah, that's an interesting thing. I don't think it's trolling though, because he changed his team as well, right? And I mean, Andy makes a living off of FPL, so he said it was a news source. Oh gosh. Okay, fine. So I'm guessing you didn't respond to that news then, Badger. Your biggest mistake last season was picking. I mean, I think it's never about picking certain players that's a mistake. It's more about if you take, let's say, an analytical approach to your style of play, what could you have done better? That sort of thing. And for example, what decisions were too erratic or showed, copious amounts of bias, that sort of thing. Should Andy retire? I mean, he should just give me his channel now. It's an identical team to Community Shield. I know it's just the Community Shield, but I mean, you mean identical in terms of the just tactical structure, right? He didn't say a new source. He said it's a source he usually trusts. I mean, yeah, okay. Let's not try and spread misinformation. I didn't watch Andy's stream, so I can't confirm. So yeah, let's not just like add words into Andy's mouth. If he didn't say new source, it's not a new source then. And as I said, Andy's previous Arsenal sources were really, really good. Yeah, like the Saka being sick last season was an absolute bomb. And I responded to that, but it didn't even help. In terms of players starting both on pitch and bench. No, I mean, look, if you talk about players starting on pitch on bench, I mean, that, of course, the Man City team is going to be the Man City team, right? But are you talking about more like the second half of the team when KDB and Foden came on, that sort of thing? Yeah, if you're saying that, that makes sense. Good luck to the people who punted on Foden and KDB. I don't think I have the temerity to really watch how the City punts work out over the course of 1 to 8 game weeks. I'm sure City will absolutely destroy Burnley, and I'll probably live to regret it slightly. But I hope you guys have a wonderful week. And I think that's it for my live stream. Really nice to see a lot of you people around. I think someone asked where I come from, and I'm half Spanish. I'm also half Hong Konger, if you can say that. I think that's technically a correct term. So, yeah, that's where I come from. I live in London though, so that's why I'm out and about at 7 p.m. here. But yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful day or evening wherever you are, and good luck with your Game Week 1. And I'll see you guys for Game Week 2. So take care, everyone. I'm 25 years old as well. Just an additional fact. Don't stalk me though.